And here we are at the Preservation Society. As explained by Mr. Joseph Redon. They do archiving, restoration, all sorts. It's incredible. I feel like a kid in a sweet store looking over all of this stuff. Oh look, there's a PC Engine CD-ROM tucked away under there. This is where the magic happens. PC98, 2 different units. Is this a Famicom titler we have here? These output actual RGB. Something I think is interesting is that isn't actually a clock. That's specifically to measure temperature and humidity.
Yes.
In the laboratory.
Yes.
Joseph Redon of the Game Preservation Society is about to show us precisely what is involved in the preservation of a PC88 disc. Now, talk us through the process. This is basically a standard PC88 disk drive with various cables attached to it?
No. We need to have the best resolution as possible. So we're using high density drives.
Mm-hmm.
So this is quite recent stuff. This drive was made 10 years ago.
For use with a Windows operating system, or which hardware was it?
Yes, for Windows or DOS.
I've noticed some very specialized technical equipment around this laboratory. How much would all of this, not the games hardware, but for example, the disc readers and the floppy emulator type devices, how much would all the technical equipment cost?
Wow. The drives definitely cost a lot because we need reliable drives, if possible brand new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the production of floppy disk drive, 5 inches, stopped 10 years ago.
Talk us through briefly some of the equipment that you've just switched on here.
This is a custom PC88 I'm using for testing preserved materials.
Mm-hmm.
So we are playing back remastered game on the real hardware.
So this is basically you strip the outside frame off it.
Yes.
And for example, what are those 2 items at the back there? What are they?
Oh, this is to replace these drives.
Mm-hmm.
So the floppy is calculated on this computer,
mm-hmm.
and then the result is streamed through USB
mm-hmm.
to this, and then it will react as the real floppy disk drives.
It's basically an
so
HXC floppy emulator.
For this computer, if we have a perfectly remastered version of the floppy disk, there will be no difference between the real disk and what is streamed from the PC.
Fantastic. Now, this looks like rather a complicated setup here. Is this, I mean, are you the first person to have created this style of setup, or did you ask other people who had done this before?
Yeah, I think this is done widely all over the world with a lot of PCs, but to be frank, not many people are doing this in Japan. So me, Mr. Fukuda, and I don't know.
You mentioned this was a PC-88. Do you have a similar setup for like a PC-98, a Sharp X1?
Oh yeah, we have all computers available here, so we can do testing on almost any system. There are many computers which have no games on it. So as I'm not a hardware collector, I don't buy them. But there is, on the contrary, a very few computers which have games, but I don't have the computer. They are very difficult to find.
And which computers would these be?
For example, there is a Hitachi MBS1. This one is quite difficult to get.
The items here were for repairing a Deco cassette system.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing at the moment. Well, there is no... I mean, the desks are changing like every week, every month. So it depends on what we are working on. So yes, at this moment it's just repairing the 3 Deco cassette decks.
So, like, in a month's time, there could be a completely different set of computers and everything on you?
Yes. So here we have MSX2, MSX, Sony MSX, and we have PC 6001, the very first model.
This is what one of the Nausicaa games was released on, isn't that correct?
Yes, there is one version Nausicaa games for this computer, and another version for the first MSX, and a third version for PC-88. And this is more recent. This one. This is an evolved version of the PC 6001 called Mr. PC. So it has two drives. The first PC-88. So the first PC-88 had no disk drive, and this is external disk drive. Old version of PC-98. We have one here, which has no internal disk drive, so you have to use a huge, big external disk drive, like this one.
And am I correct in believing that the external drive for the PC-88 is actually heavier than the computer itself?
Yes, true.
Now, you showed me a computer here earlier on, the PC-98 you pointed to. How many computers are here? If the number, because I see there's quite a few in pink bubble wrap.
I have no idea. I just know that I have all the computers I need to test, preserve games, or to make some research.
Describe the process earlier on, because it started off. We were over there at that drive, and that was a high density drive. You described it as, and you were sampling a DOS disk, is that correct?
Yes.
It was transferred to this computer here, and then it went to this computer, and it was streamed directly into the floppy emulator of this PC-88 unit.
Yes, correct.
So what are these units here that I'm looking at?
Well, it's mostly stuff to use to read. All you have here is stuff to read EPROMs, static, this kind of chips, or also memory from console games. But anyway, it's EPROM anyway.
What is the most... Actually, there's a couple of interesting looking items over here. Is there anything of note in this corner here?
Well, we're mostly dealing with tapes here. Just reading tapes. And also some pretty old records that contain data.
Game data, very old LPs that contain game data.
Or OS, like basic OS for old computer boards.
That's incredible. So the basic programming language or operating system would be contained as data on like a vinyl LP, basically.
Yes.
Now let me just start filming before I actually enter the upstairs room, because it's quite surprising when you get in here. A wall of boxes. Now, these boxes, what do these boxes contain, Joseph?
I think it's 99% PC games. 7,000.
7,000 games.
At least 3,000 at home.